You need to be writing email sequences that are automated and sent out to new subscribers so that they can get to know you a little bit more. Plus, you can use sequences to sell your products and services. This is the beauty of email marketing tools because it's all automated, and this can be happening all in the background while you do everything else that you need to do to run your business, so that you don't have to be sending specific emails on specific dates to specific people all the time. I mean, you would be spending your entire life doing this manually if you had to do it like that. So with any email marketing tool, you should be able to automate it. There's different types of sequences that you can have. You can have an introduction sequence that welcomes people to your website, to you and your brand. An educational sequence where it's just if someone wants to learn more about a topic, you have a sequence of emails that helps them learn more about a topic. You have your product launches. If you're launching a new product, you can have a multiple email sequence that you send to people. You have your follow-up email sequence to people who have purchased a product to keep them engaged, to make sure they're happy with whatever they've purchased. Lots of different types of email sequences. Here's just a quick sample sequence that is sort of your typical email sequence that I like to send to people. This is for people who come and are brand new to my website or are brand new to one of my products. For example, a free course. I'll send them an intro email, and then I'll follow it up with 2 educational emails. And these 2 educational emails are purely educational. It's just additional content that will benefit them. I followed that up with what I call an inspirational email. This is an email that is not selling a product, but it's selling the benefit of whatever product or service I'm offering. For example, if I'm teaching a class on Adobe Premiere Pro video editing and I want to inspire someone to learn this software, I'll show examples of types of videos that people can create with that software. Or I'll share an interview that I did with someone who uses Adobe Premiere Pro. So this is the email that it's not necessarily teaching them something new, but it's inspiring them and making them want to learn or to use the product that I'm about to sell them in the next email, which is the soft launch, which is an email where I first start to mention the product that I have. It's still an educational or an inspirational email in essence, but I mentioned the product. It's not a, hey, check out this product. It's only $99. You can get it here for 10% off. It's more of an email where I'll follow up on the inspirational email that I just sent saying, I hope you enjoyed that story about Joe Schmo who learned Adobe Premiere Pro and now has a full-time job in the film industry. Here's a cool tutorial on how to create better titles with Adobe Premiere Pro. If you're really interested in liking the tutorials that I've been sending you, I actually have a full course for you that you can purchase where you learn everything from beginning to advanced. That kind of email. I'll follow up that soft sale with another inspirational email to reinforce the idea. And this maybe is a testimonial from a student of mine, a user. How did the product change their life? I might include a link to the product in this email, maybe not, because in the following up email, the hard sell, that's where it's just purely promotional. There's no sort of fluff, there's no education. It's just, hey, here's this product. I hope you've been enjoying these emails that I've been sending you. If you want to take it to the next level, purchase here. Just click here, explain how you purchase it. And then, of course, a follow-up. This will probably look different if they purchased versus if they didn't purchase. In ConvertKit and most tools, you can automate it. So if someone purchased a product, they might be transitioned to another sequence entirely. Or you can usually add funnels to your emails. So if someone purchased, then they wouldn't actually get the follow-up email that says or asks, why didn't a person purchase the product that you promoted? Or whatever your follow-up is to people who don't purchase. But it's a good idea to have those follow-up emails. At the end of the day, remember that the goal with a sequence is to educate and inspire. And if you can educate and inspire, the selling will be easy. I'm about to show you actually some of my sequences that I'm using so you get a better sense of how I'm having success with this. But a few quick things on how to write better sequences. The first is to use evergreen content. If you have YouTube videos or blog articles that you think are really high quality and are related to this sequence, create a whole email about it. Maybe use that as sort of the base of your email, and then if you want, you can have people click to the article or to the YouTube video. This is a great way to keep that old content that is still high quality alive and just getting people aware of it. There's no reason to try to reinvent the wheel if you've already written about these topics. Just use a blog article that you've already created. Personalize it with their name. Most times with this software, during the opt-in form, people will submit their name. So in the emails that you sent, you can personalize it to that person's name. So the email isn't just, hey, this is an email, blah, 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 whatever you say. It's, hey, Phil, hope you're doing well today. And you include their name in that email itself and try to make it more personal that way. Another tip is to send it at the right time. This is going to depend on the email tool that you're using, but some of the tools allow you to set when emails go out. And there's lots, I'm going to actually include some links to articles that explain all of this, but there's a lot of research that's been done into when's the best time to send an email. There was sort of an aggregate article that I recently read. They did a lot of research from many different sources, and they found that Tuesdays and Thursdays at 10 a.m. is a great time. Now, 10 a.m., that's different for people all around the world, but if you can send it at 10 a.m. no matter what time zone people are in. That's one of the cool things about some of these email marketing tools. Not all of them have it yet. Otherwise, think about where most of your audience is. If most of your audience is in the United States, sending it 10 a.m. Eastern time is a great idea, because that's where most people live. I believe about half of the people in the United States live in the Eastern time zone. There's a lot of people on the West Coast and Pacific time, but even still, sending at 10 a.m. Eastern time will result in a 7 a.m. Pacific time email. So it'll be the morning. And that's where a lot of people are who have money to spend. So really for most businesses, 10 a.m. Eastern time is a good standard. But it might be different depending on your niche. Some people found that sending on the weekends is really good, which is sort of weird because you wouldn't think that sending emails on the weekend is a good idea. But some people found that they had higher click-through rates and higher open rates on the weekends, maybe because people have more time. So it's a good idea to test. And the great thing about these tools is you can analyze the success of your emails by seeing what the click-through rate was, what the open rate was, and you can see, okay, if I sent this type of email at this time, did it do good or not? So you should be looking at your analytics too. The last quick tip is to test different subject lines. I'm going to be talking and giving more tips about subject lines in the next lesson. In some tools like ConvertKit, you can actually do A/B testing with subject lines, which is one of my favorite things about ConvertKit. You can actually test two different subject lines. And what happens is ConvertKit will send out your email to a certain percentage of the people receiving that email. And then they'll see after like 3 or 4 hours which subject line worked best. And based off of that data, they'll send out the rest of the emails to the list that you're sending to with the subject line that converted better. So let's dive into ConvertKit so we can see some real world examples of what I'm doing. Here is my online course masters behind the scenes account. I just launched this account. I have about 1,000 subscribers for about a month and a half or so. But there's a few sequences. I launched this brand new free trial of my masterclass. And so whenever anybody subscribes, they get this free masterclass. For example, when someone listens to my podcast and joins through the podcast page, they get on this podcast sequence. If someone attended one of my webinars, I'll put them on a workshop sequence. This is a follow-up to the webinar that tries to ultimately promote the masterclass. And this is the masterclass purchaser. So this is a new product that I launched about a month ago. So far, we've had 11 people sign up for it. So pretty darn cool for this specific program. And you can see the open rates and the click rates for these different sequences. The open rate for the masterclass free trial sequence is super high. And that's because this is a challenge-based sequence. So it's basically a 6-day or a 5 or 6 day sequence that people get. And it's a 5-day challenge for people to get started with teaching online. So when people sign up for this, they know that they're going to be working hard for the next week. And that's why I believe the open rate is higher. The masterclass is super high open rate because these are people who actually purchased and paid a premium price. The podcast sequence is also relatively high, and that's because this is specifically targeted to people who listen to my Online Course Masters podcast. Before, this used to be the same sequence that people got when they signed up on Video School Online. And a lot of people go to Video School Online who aren't interested in teaching online. So the open rate and the click rate was really low compared to this new sequence that I set up. And so I'm really actually happy about the open rate. Let me just show you, for example, the masterclass free trial sequence. So here, this is how it's set up in ConvertKit. And again, I know this isn't going to be the same for everyone, but you can see that I've got a welcome email, and then each day I send them the steps for the next part of the challenge. Every email I have an action item, which usually is to click on something to watch a video. And then ultimately here you see that I have my sales pitch down here. And if someone doesn't get the purchase the product, I send up this "what did I do wrong" email. And this is a great subject line that works really well. I get a lot of responses from this from people who actually respond and talk to me about what I did wrong or why they didn't purchase. And that gives me a lot of feedback to improve my product, my pricing, and just how I sell my different products. You see here in ConvertKit, there's this funnel, and what happens is that if anyone has actually purchased the class, they don't get this email, because that would be awkward if you purchase the class and then I'm asking you, what did I do wrong? Why didn't you purchase this? That wouldn't make sense. So that's just one of the real world examples of how that worked. The podcast sequence, here you have, this is a pretty much purely educational sequence. I just have some inspirational stories, some tips and advice, 3 ways to get better reviews, all the accounts you need to start teaching online, 9 ways to validate your online course idea. At the very end of this sequence, I do promote my masterclass, and that's really all the promotion that I do in this sequence. Here I've switched over to my Video School Online account, and you can see all the different sequences that I have. You can see that it contains information on the subscribers that are part of these different sequences. Some are sequences that are built for people who enroll in my free classes. Others are just sequences that I've used in the past with different lead magnets or opt-in forms. And ultimately, what I think you should do is to go to your competitors' websites, people who you want to emulate and compete with, and sign up for their email sequences. See what they're doing, see how you can improve upon their email sequences, doing it your own way, of course, not copying, but just using them as inspiration. Now in the next lesson, we're going to be talking more about how you can increase your open rate with better subject lines.